Hi, I'm Cecil Maranville, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. Charlie Kirk's last book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life, is wildly popular. The first printing sold out immediately, and the book soared to the top of bestseller lists. It has sparked renewed interest in the question of whether Sabbath keeping is possible in the modern world. Charlie made a very compelling argument for keeping the seventh-day Sabbath today, reminding readers about its origin, noting that God personally set the day aside at creation, that God commanded its observance in the sacred 10 Commandments. But Charlie reasoned that sometimes work is so pressing that a person cannot stop to observe the Sabbath. When his schedule required Sabbath work, he took Sunday as his one day in 7. And when his schedule demanded that he work both Sabbath and Sunday, Charlie would take 2 days off from work the following weekend to make up. But is Sabbath keeping negotiable or flexible in that way? Today's verse answers that question clearly. It's found in Exodus chapter 34, verse 21. 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh day you shall rest. In plowing time and in harvest you shall rest. The reference to plowing and harvest times is significant. Note how this is translated in the complete Jewish Bible. 6 days you will work, but on the seventh day you are to rest. Even in plowing time and harvest season, you are to rest. The Hebrew word translated rest in this verse is Sabbat, S-A-B-A-T, the root from which the word Sabbath comes. In this context, it inarguably means to stop work. In the agrarian society when this command was given, plowing and harvest were the busiest times of the entire year. Breaking up the ground to get it ready for planting that year's crop was labor-intensive. It was also time-sensitive. A farmer's entire livelihood depended on getting the plowing and planting done in time to catch the spring rains. The farmer's entire yearly income also hinged on his harvesting the crops in a timely manner. He couldn't just harvest at any time he chose. First, he had to wait until the crops were fully ripe. Then he had to harvest them around unpredictable weather conditions, all before the winter's cold set in. Plowing and harvest could not be more time-sensitive. For that reason, saying you must rest in plowing time and harvest illustrates God's intent that we keep the Sabbath every week, not just when we feel we can take a day off work. We must rest on the seventh day of every week, which corresponds to our Saturday. The New King James Version ends this verse with the emphatic words, "You are to rest." Several other translations end the verse with, "You shall rest," or "You must rest." This wording removes any question about whether stopping work is optional. Life today makes many demands on our time, which might make Sabbath keeping seem impossible. Quoting our booklet on the Sabbath, for someone new to celebrating the Sabbath, the prospect of interrupting a busy routine from sunset Friday until sunset Saturday might seem intimidating and unrealistic, but the opposite is true. See the show notes for links to this booklet, The Sabbath, a Neglected Gift from God. See also links to these articles, The Busyness Trap, Do You Need a Rest, and How to Keep the Sabbath Holy.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.